Hi.
And welcome to My Brain Slaps episode 1.
Numero uno.
First one I've ever done.
Gonna be fun.
It's gonna be something.
Okay, so our first ever episode then. What are we gonna talk about? Well, today is gonna be, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, you probably have, a singer called James Blunt. Should be very interesting.
Yeah. I was initially when we first started looking into him and stuff like that, I genuinely did not have a clue about it. I thought there was a couple of songs and then just fell off you.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant, in terms of music, you know, releasing a couple of songs here or there and then ultimately disappearing from the limelight. But it turns out that's far from the truth. And the man has led a pretty interesting life.
Yeah.
So should we dive right into it?
Yeah, Brownie.
Right.
Brownie.
Okay, so so James Blunt was born as James Hillier Blunt, but spelt with an O-U instead of just a U-N-T. If that makes any sense. So instead of it being B-L-U-N-T, like it would be if you Google it, his actual name is B-L-O-U-N-T, and he changed it just for, you know, being a musician. Because you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do.
And especially if you want people to know you gotta want something easy.
Mm.
That's why like logos and stuff like that are just like a lot of times just outlines.
So he was born on the 22nd of February 1974 at an army hospital in Tidworth, Hampshire. So he was the first of 3 children born to Jane Ann Ferran, his mum, in case you didn't get that, and Colonel Charles Blunt. His mother, but you didn't know this, had her own ski chalet company in the French town of, probably going to butcher this, so in case there's any French people that ever watches this, I am sorry. Maribel? Does that sound right? Maribel? Is in my notes. I don't know how you pronounce it. Anyway, and while his father was a cavalry officer in the 13th and 18th Royal Hussars. Cool name. Yeah, Royal Hussars. And then he was a helicopter pilot and a colonel of the Army Air Corps. And this is one of the first very interesting facts about James Blunt himself and his particular family. Their entire family has a very long history of military service. They've all been in the army, every single one of them, all the way back to the 10th century, going back to the arrival of their Danish ancestors in England. So this guy, his family,
and they literally have they have all it's all recorded.
Yeah, it's all on record. You can go and Google it. You can go and look it up. His family are Vikings and were part of the first initial Raiders of England.
Love it.
Always fun. So I just thought I'd go into a little bit about his dad, because obviously his dad's got a bit of military service behind him. So Colonel Charles Blunt, just a little tidbit. And he was in the Army and the Air Force, and he reached the highest post of the Air Vice Marshal, which is pretty damn high up in the military. He was part of 7 commands, and he was active in both World Wars. I don't think he's going to be active in this one though.
I'll cut that one out. just to be sure. Just in case we're
So his dad was
sorry. That's my stroke.
His dad was heavily involved in the military and did win quite a lot. I say win. Do you win military awards? Do you get given? I don't understand how that one works. Do you get given them?
Well, you're meant to earn them, but I feel like there's a lot of pointless ones as well. Well, not necessarily pointless, but I don't know. I don't understand them personally. I don't understand them.
But nonetheless, he has won / been given quite a few. including companion
Received.
of received. That's the word.
Received.
Always learn something. So he has received the companion of the Order of the Bath, which sounds like a bathroom sale, if I'm honest. He's also an officer of the Order of the British Empire. He's got a military cross, and he's been mentioned in dispatches twice, which is crazy. And he has a Knight of the Order of the Crown from Belgium, as well as the Silver Medal of Military Valour from Italy. So he's been active for not just England in military service, but quite a few host of other countries as well, which is quite interesting.
It's very random,
Isn't it? Quite strange. We're going to get into something a bit more random now, but this is also quite interesting. At least I thought so. So James Blunt's father, Colonel Charles Blunt, was killed in an air accident in October 1940 when a scheduled flight from Hendon Aerodrome in Belfast, to Belfast even, where he was due to meet a friend. I can't remember the name of his friend. So he was due to meet a friend, and his plane crashed on the airfield literally like 5 seconds after takeoff. 3 days before his 47th birthday. Yeah, it's quite sad. So he was buried in the southwest corner of the churchyard at St Mary the Virgin's Church in Essendon, and he's commemorated on the Felixstowe War Memorial, where the death of his younger brother, and this is also the more interesting thing about it, his younger brother, John Hillier Blunt, also died in an accidental air crash in 1918, and is commemorated on the same war memorial. So they both died in freak air accidents. And when you think about the chances of like plane crashes and all of that stuff, like it's so few and far between. Like,
I mean, especially to have two in the same family.
yeah.
Was it like a military one though? Was it like? I suppose it's probably more. Like, no, it was just one.
No, so Charles, his dad's air crash, that was just a normal flight, and his brother's I think was a war one. I'm not too sure though. We'll have to look a bit more into that. So yeah, that's just a little bit about his family. I found that interesting. Yeah. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we get back onto the main guy. Subjects James. Yeah.
James the Blunt.
James the Blunt. Could do with a blunt right now. So James Blunt. Good old James. So where did he come from? Primarily, he grew up in St Maryborn in Hampshire, but he did have to move every 2 years because of his father's military postings around England. And just for a little bit of info, they were Middle Wallop. You ever heard of Middle Wallop?
I have not.
Me neither. Cool name.
What is that?
It is a military post.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Netheravon and York.
I thought you were going to say Nether. Where did Margaret come into this?
I was thinking Netherite. Someone call Steve. So apart from military postings in England, his father was posted outside internationally as well. Normal places such as Cyprus and Germany. He did also spend some time in Clay next to the sea, where his father, Charles,
the one from before,
owned the Clay windmill. Yeah, so his dad owns a windmill. Very, very strange.
Is it definitely? Is it? Or is it?
Yeah.
Dad
owns a windmill.
I want a windmill.
So, I want my own windmill. That would be quite fun though.
There's a really nice one in North Broads. Like when you're going down. Gorgeous.
We should go. We should go.
We need to.
We should go.
They can help me possibly.
So James Blunt, his early life is going pretty well. Everything's all peachy. You know, nothing really to report. You know, no standout problems. No, seemed to be just pretty much an average normal child, if I'm honest. He went to
From what we can find, at least.
From what we can find, at least. This is the information that he wants public. So whether or not he was a little terror behind the scenes, we don't know.
Do you know? This is just information we found on the internet and we're compiling into one podcast.
That.
I didn't mean to do that.
So he went to Elstree School in Woolhampton, and then Harrow School in Harrow-on-the-Hill area of London, where he gained A-levels in physics, chemistry and economics. Which is quite a weird mix, really. Who really thinks about those being put together? I mean, physics and chemistry, yeah, but economics? Interesting. He went on to study aerospace manufacturing, engineering and sociology at the University of Bristol, and he graduated in 1966 with a BSc in sociology. And if you know what degree terms are, all power to you, because I'm clueless. So like his father, Blunt is James Blunt, not a blunt.
You stop. Everyone knows it's true. There's probably going to be no one thinking, like, at least not many people thinking Blunt is in the Blunt.
You never know.
I know, but considering we said at the start, we're going to be
never
like,
know.
Okay.
But anyway. So yeah, he is a pilot, and he actually gained his first pilot license, his private pilot license, at the age of 16. Crazy. And at the same time as getting into flying planes and learning how to fly planes, he also got into learning how to ride motorcycles, motorbikes. That was another one of his big, let's go get him, motorbikes. Don't personally get it, but you do you.
Oh, about me.
So now we get on to where most people started to know James Blunt, and where people started to like learn his name and basically learn about who he was when he was in the army. And near enough everyone who knows about James Blunt and who James Blunt is knows that he was part of the army, so obviously his family's got all of that military service, and I don't think he's just going to forget all of that just for a bit of music. Although that might change in the future. Give me 5 minutes.
Let's check the news.
So anyway, because the British Army sponsored his university education, so it was basically like a scholarship. You know, when like colleges give you basically a free ride to study there, it's usually for like athletics or like academics or something like that.
You've literally got to be like the best of the best.
Best of the best in like some area.
Or like be beneficial.
Yeah.
Like
So
in one way or another.
because of his family's history with the army and the Air Force and everything like that, and all the connections that they've made, the British Army sponsored James to go through university, and he was then obliged to serve a minimum of 4 years in the armed forces. I think that at the time it was national service, I think it was called, which isn't a thing anymore. But it was basically at a certain age you would have to be required to be in the army or the Air Force for 4 years, and then that was like your national service to the country. And then once that was done, if you wanted to stay on you could, and if you wanted to leave you could. It's kind of one of them things. However, he did stay on in an interview that he chose to join the military as his father was pushing for it, so that he could have a career outside of music that was secure, and that he would have a stable income.
Not a backup plan.
Yeah, so there would always be something for him to fall back on, just in case his music didn't get anywhere.
I wouldn't go from music to military.
The other way around makes sense, which is kind of what he did. But his initial plan was music, and yeah, because his university had to go to the army. So yeah, but so getting onto his military service now. So Blunt trained at the Royal Military Academy in Sandhurst, and he was commissioned as the second lieutenant in the Life Guards, a unit of the Household Cavalry, where he rose to the rank of captain. So he got pretty high up for just someone doing national service. And that's probably one of the who you know kind of deals. I reckon he knows a few people in the army to get himself those promotions. But to be fair, from what we're going to get into in a sec, he deserves the military commendations that he gets. So one of his first assignments was to the British Army Training Unit in Suffield in Alberta, Canada, where his battalion was posted for 6 months in 1998 to act as the opposing army in combat training exercises. So when the actual army would plan their attacks and how they would move and do things, and they would be the opposite force, so that you had something to work against. Like you train on a football field, and you have a practice team to play against, so you can train. Kind of like the same deal, but with the army. So I'm guessing there's no killing each other and shooting bullets at each other and stuff, which is probably helpful if you on the practice side. Do you reckon they give the practice ones rubber bullets?
See, to be fair, even the practice ones will be actual things as well. They'll just split. They'll probably just split them up.
Yeah.
So this is all of you. Split you in half. You're this team, and then next time swap. That's probably what it is.
So here we get onto the most interesting part of James Blunt's military career, and I didn't know this going into this. I just stumbled across this, literally researching for this very episode. But this is crazy.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It is something. Okay, so a year later, in 1999, the year I was born.
Yeah, I was born.
Nice.
Yes.
He served as an armoured reconnaissance officer in the NATO deployment in Kosovo. I don't know if I butchered that. I probably did, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Initially assigned to the reconnaissance of the Republic of Macedonia-Yugoslavia border, Blunt and his unit worked ahead of the front lines, directing forces and targeting Serbian positions for the NATO bombing campaign. All pretty standard military stuff so far, right? All pretty good. His unit was given the assignment of securing the Pristina International Airport in advance of 30,000 strong peacekeeping force from the Russian army. 30,000 Russian soldiers marched on this airport, and they were supposed to take it before them. So they were supposed to get there before 30,000 men. Just one battalion. Just his troop. His troop, right? However, the Russian army had moved in far before and taken control of the airport before his unit even got there. American NATO Commander Wesley Clark, who's the commander at the time, I don't know if he still is. It's been a while. Been a fair bit, so I don't think he.
Probably.
He had actually ordered that James Blunt and his unit forcibly take the airport from the Russian contingent, but Blunt refused to comply with the orders. Effectively, what had really went down was that if he had gone into that airport with those soldiers and that battle had taken place, World War III would have started, because there was no prior conflict. They were waiting on something. They were waiting on a spark. They were waiting on something to happen, something to trigger it, something to set off everything, and this was potentially the thing that could have derailed everything, and the world would be completely different now. So, yeah.
Now that we're getting out of it.
Yeah, not that things are any different now. Thanks,
Oh.
James.
To
be fair, that's not on him.
No. He did a good thing.
Yeah, so this in the army. This is about the time where he actually started to properly get into his music, as he would take his guitar and strap it to the side of the tank, so that when they were going down on the roads and traveling on the roads and stuff, going on these long distances to get to wherever they needed to, he could entertain his friends and his battalion troops by playing them songs and like playing music for them, which I thought was quite cool. At some places, they would share a meal with hospital locals, and he would perform live for patients and obviously the army people. And it was while on duty in Kosovo on that assignment where he almost started World War III.
Well, it was essentially told to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was there while he wrote the song No Bravery, which is one of his big ones. I quite like it. I don't know about you. Well, we'll put it on later and see what you think.
You know I'm useless with this.
Yeah, so there's basically there's not really much that I could find on like, the specifics of how he why he wanted to start music, etc., etc. All that I really could find was that it was just something to do when he was bored in the army, because there's so many times where you're just trekking through field after field, road after road for hours upon hours upon hours, trying to get to wherever you need to be or whatever. So there's a lot of time that needs to be killed. So I can imagine music helped with that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, music helps just day to day anyway. Like the right kind of music can literally turn your day from god awful to amazing.
So after those two military campaigns, he then went and joined the Household Cavalry Alpine Ski Team in Switzerland, eventually becoming the captain and the champion skier of the entire Royal Armoured Corps. So every single Royal Armoured regiment, troop, unit, every single one of them, he was better at skiing than them all.
But why skiing?
Who knows?
I don't.
He's a strange dude.
It's very random.
It is very
But I
random.
like it.
It's very random,
like it.
but there is no explanation. It's just you can do all the research yourself. You'll find exactly the same stuff as we have. It's just that there's no detail about anything. It's just
Well,
here you go.
I suppose it's kind of like us in a way. Like,
Yeah.
whether you want to wrap this or not. But we are very if we want to do something, it's like we'll get that bit done. And do it as best we can and everything.
Yeah, gotta be done.
And it's just like if that naturally comes to an end, you're gonna want to do the next thing. And then the next thing and then the next thing. And if you're the kind of person that has very random thoughts on what you want to do with your life, then it's gonna have some very random situations. You're gonna have a very random life.
So after skiing and potentially starting World War III, all of that good stuff, he extended his military service in November 2000 for another 2 years. I'm guessing he quite liked it. Can't really say I'd be on that with him, but some people like it, some people quite enjoy it, don't they? Some people it's their whole entire lives, and fair enough. Props to you for serving the country. I couldn't do it myself.
Not like that anyway.
Definitely not like that.
Depending on what exactly, but I don't know. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I suppose it would depend on what exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
I couldn't. I couldn't pull the trigger.
Oh no, I couldn't pull a trick. I've always wanted to learn. I've always wanted to do the drone flights. You know, the Predator drones, the big huge ones.
Yeah.
You know, I watched a video once online of people who started an apprenticeship with the Royal Air Force, learning how to do all of that, and it is mind blowing. Like, I thought all these like remote control drones you get from like online and stuff, I thought they were crazy with the amount of stuff you can do with them, and these things on a whole nother level. So
I guess, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't.
But even with that though, I just want to fly it about.
Yeah.
I just want to be like, can I go take this to like a pretty waterfall or something and just fly it around.
Yeah, you know what I think
just
I'd do
see what the world looks like.
You know what I think I'd do with it? Go to Mount Everest, right? Go from the very, very top of it, and try and go all the way to the bottom, but we're keeping as close to the mountain as possible. I reckon the footage off that would be quite nice.
Yeah, it would be insane.
And I'd pull up at like the last second.
But no, I was thinking, do you know, I can't remember where they are. I think they're around, but do you know, like the big like plateau things? It's like basically like the big mountains that they look like tree trunks, just big giant tree trunks, just sticking up and then they're just completely flat.
Oh yeah, and then they're like different colours and stuff. Depending on the rock type.
Yeah.
Whatnot.
But I remember on something I was watching when I was younger, they got, because obviously you can't just walk up there, so they had to get a helicopter up, and they found like species of animals and stuff like that literally found nowhere else in the world except on these like plateaus, which there's no access to.
Perfect for that drone then.
Yeah, that's something. So it's like how did they get there? Like what? I mean, I want to go.
How did they get there? How did they get there?
How did they get there?
Maybe a future episode.
No, they are interested in the plateaus.
100%.
I feel like what must have happened is like, do you know, like mountains are created with things, but rather than like coming to a point, the earth just went, and just anything that was on top of that just went, okay, I'll go with you.
This is one of them things we just don't know really. Because
there is like entire worlds on there. It's like plants that aren't anywhere else, like everything. Sorry, this is the sorry.
Complete tangent, but I love it. That's the entire point of this whole podcast.
That's why it's a podcast and not anything else.
So anyway, back onto it. After he extended his military service in November 2000, he did a 6-month army riding course and was posted to the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment in London. Quite likes his horses. So we've established that this guy has quite a lot of expensive tastes. He likes flying planes, racing motorbikes, skiing, and now riding horses. Quite an active man. Oh, quite all of them quite an active man.
Quite an active man.
So he was quite active, and he was actually stood a guard at the coffin of the Queen Mother during the funeral procession on the 9th of April 2002. So when the Queen's mother,
the late Queen's
mother, when she died, he was on guard guarding the coffin whilst the procession went on, which is mad. It's just genuinely crazy when you when you watch it on the news and stuff, and you see all like the army people. You don't really put any like names to faces or anything. It's just mindless cogs in a military machine.
Especially when you say James Blunt and you think of You're beautiful.
That, exactly. Exactly.
You don't.
You don't think about it.
No.
You just don't think about it, and it's just so jarring for a second. And it takes me a bit to realise. Crazy. But anyway, so after serving 6 years in the British Army, he left on the 1st of October 2002 to pursue his musical career. And this is where we get into the fun stuff. So as a child, he actually had quite a few lessons on the piano, and quite proficient at playing the piano. And he's also quite proficient at playing the violin, of all things. It's piano and violin, it's quite a combo.
Again, expensive taste.
Yeah, I mean, I can play the piano. I've always wanted to learn how to play the violin, but that looks so hard. So nice, but so hard.
So I can barely do the guitar.
We'll get on to the guitar. He was actually introduced to the electric guitar at the age of 14 at the Harrow School by a fellow student, and spent every single day after that practicing and practicing and practicing. Obviously, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whilst he was in the army, he would write songs on his day off, and so he would perform them live for the people in the hospitals and all that stuff, what we said earlier.
So he has always had the music has stayed with him.
Yeah, it's always stayed with him.
It's not been the prime it's not been
it's not been his main focus 100% of the time, but it's never left him.
Yeah.
It's always been the back of his mind. Music is the thing he wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's cool that he's actually done that.
Well, to be able to do that, to have that in mind and
Go
to be able to go through everything else that he's done and be like, yeah, I still want to do music.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna do this.
Yeah, it's crazy. A backing vocalist and songwriting collaborator suggested that he contact Elton John's manager, Todd Interland, with whom she used to share a house. So it was just some random woman who heard his tape one day and thought, oh, Elton John's manager might like to hear this. So it's who you know. It's who you know. So Interland, Todd Interland, Elton John's manager, told an interview station, I'm not going to give out the names because copyright and whatnot, but basically told in an interview that he actually listened to Blunt's demo while driving home from work one day, and after hearing the track Goodbye My Lover, as well, we all know that classic one.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend.
So after hearing that, he immediately pulled over and called the mobile number that was written on the CD and set up a meeting with him. Literally the very first time hearing James Blunt's music. I want to sign that dude. Straight away. Crazy. So he left the army in 2002 so that he could pursue his musical career, and he started then using the name Blunt, spelled Blunt, in part to make it easier for others to spell when searching for his name and his music catalogue and stuff. But it's also to distance himself from the army and that side of his life. He wanted to basically separate that from his personal life and music life, because I kind of get that.
Well, yeah. So
like human evolution, really, character evolution, isn't it? I suppose. If the amount of things that you probably would have seen during conflict and battles and stuff, I can imagine he'd want to separate it and distance himself from it. So it's entirely fair enough.
Well, it gives them a way to actually make them two different worlds as well, rather than being the same world.
Yeah. However, it's still pronounced the same way. Blunt spelled differently, and it is still his legal last name. So his legal last name still is Blount, not Blunt. Blunt, like we know him to be. Which is,
It's just a stage name, isn't it?
yeah,
Stage name.
basically. Shortly after leaving the army, he was signed to EMI Music Publishers and to 21st Artists Management. So these were the the company basically that Todd and Celinda was part of, that like signed him and everything. So it wasn't actually an official record deal. It was to distribute his music, to get it out there, so that it could have the opportunity to be picked up by a record label. And eventually, that did happen. And this is even more crazy. It just shows it is who you know. After recording label executives and all the music bigwigs and all that, music producers, saying that his posh speaking voice was a barrier in a class divided Britain. So we're going through a bit of a class struggle. Not that we're not going through a class struggle right now. Yeah, so he was eventually signed by a one Linda Perry. You ever heard of Linda Perry before?
No.
Does the name sound familiar?
Yeah.
Well, so you know who she is. She was the lead singer of Four Non-Blondes. You know the group who did What's Going On?
Oh, yeah.
That's not the lyrics, but yeah.
What?
So Linda Perry, who was the lead singer of Four Non-Blondes, she was launching her own record label called Custard Records. Pretty cool name. Quite like it. In early 2003, when she heard James's promotional tape when she visited London one day, and soon after heard him perform live at the South by Southwest Music Festival. At this point in his music career, he was still performing live, but it was only like small venues and little festivals, basically anywhere that he could get a gig. It wasn't like he was, a fully fledged professional music artist.
Star snuff musician, like ringing around.
Yeah, basically. She made an offer to him the same night, and within a few days he signed a recording contract with her. And a month later he travelled to Los Angeles to meet producer Tom Rothrock to produce his first album. So at this point, no one in America had ever really heard of him. He was mentioned on a few, I remember he was mentioned on a few charts, a few of his recordings managed to end up there, and he did have a small bit of a following, but no one really cared, to put it bluntly.
Proud of that one.
I'm quite proud of myself. So his first album, and quite possibly his biggest album, Back to Bedlam, it was recorded in 2003 with Tom Rothrock as the producer in Conway Recording Studios and also Rothrock's home studio in LA. And James played many of the instruments himself. However, during the recording, he did manage to find himself all lodged up with the legendary actress she was, Carrie Fisher. But he didn't know that. Crazy. Knows everyone, this geezer. Knows absolutely everyone. So, but he didn't know this. Actually, I think I've already told you this. I'm not too sure. But Carrie Fisher actually contributed in naming the album, and he recorded the song Goodbye My Lover in her bathroom. Not in a recording studio, not in a bathroom. In Carrie Fisher's bathroom. In Carrie Fisher's bathroom. Let's just let that sink in for a sec.
Yes, no, so good. I don't know.
Madness. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So Back to Bedlam was released in the UK in October 2004 with the debut single of High. Like high, like high, low, like high.
Up high.
Like up high, not high.
High.
Not that high, but high.
Not that high.
Not that high. Not that high. I'll get that high. So this single was co-written with Ricky Ross from Deacon Blue This, and it initially peaked below the top 100 of the UK singles chart, so didn't really go anywhere. However, after the subsequent success of quite possibly his biggest ever song, You're Beautiful, it made the top 75 before being re-released. So this is a common strategy in the music industry, where an artist will make a song and release a single off an album, and say the single doesn't go anywhere, but another song off the album does get popular. They will then re-release the single again to try and get that audience back into it, to think that it's like a new song that they've just released, even though it was already out ages ago. And they'll like just change it slightly, or they'll speed it up. Panic at the Disco have done this quite recently, with House of Memories. I was looking on the YouTube channel the other day. It's not. They say it's a new EP and album, but it's not. It's the original song, and then a slowed down version, and then a sped up version, and then a key change version.
Yeah.
And it's literally just mixing it, because every single time you mix it up or change something, it's technically a different song. Technically still release it, you know? So, to be fair, that is pretty much how most people get onto radio charts, and how they like pump up those radio plays. Because they'll just keep re-releasing a song, and even though it'll be slightly different and it'll count as a separate song, those stream views will be linked, so they just add up and add up and add up.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Well, that's another topic for another time, that one.
Yeah, but also if you are changing, not that you need to stop this. Like if you are changing them to different fingers, I'll stop shaking that one.
The alligator's gonna get concussion by the time we finish.
No, I've lost.
No. Well, if you remember, let me know.
I would.
So the song was chosen to appear in the Vodafone commercial, in a Vodafone commercial in Italy, and with a top 10 hit from that in Italy. So
Adverts do good.
Adverts do good. Advert is good marketing. Who would have guessed?
You know, the thing that's literally made to go out to as many people as possible. It's got to get people to, as many people as possible to listen to your song. Not sure how that went, but.
Yeah. So at the start of this music career, he didn't really attract any critical attention. No one really cared about him. There was no published reviews from any major UK music journals. I'm going to cut all of that bit out because my voice went then. The debut album from the unknown at this point, James Blunt, initially attracted little critical attention. There were no published reviews from any major UK music journals. His live performances, mainly in support of better known musicians, received generally favourable reviews, so people thought it was alright, you know, nothing to write home about, nothing to...
Yeah, it's one of them, if it comes on, if they're there you'll listen, if they're not...
I'm with all odd gigs like that, you know, that's part and parcel of being a musician, I guess. His lack of performing experience and inconsistent approach with audiences were commented upon. So basically, because he didn't have the experience of being on stage that much, or at least being on a big stage, like screaming, thousands of screaming fans and stuff.
Didn't have the presence of a conventional...
Yeah. Did not have the stage presence that you would have needed at the time to be able to contend with something like that.
Yeah.
And then because of his inconsistent approaches with audiences, and by that I mean more in a sense that while you can go and see an artist today, and whilst the core show might look different, you can tell that it's like the same, because at the end of the day they are just performing the same show at just different venues, and like that's the point of a tour. and I guess that he just wasn't really familiar with that, and he kind of just wanted to do his own thing
Yeah.
and perform what he wanted to when he wanted to on the set, rather than having like a set list. And, you know, telling
good, to
everyone
be
what's
fair.
going to be played. And
And I know it's harder to actually make it like that, but I really respect that. Like,
Yeah.
if I was gonna do that, that's what I'd like to do. Just do me.
so after the release of the album, he was actually a concert support for Lloyd Cole and the Commotions in late 2004. Don't know if you ever heard of them. No? Well, you'll have heard of this guy, because he was actually the concert support for Elton John as well. Yeah, for 3 years straight. And he also did a band residency at the London club of 93 Feet East. And if you don't know what a band residency is, it's basically when a band, I don't know if some places do like accommodation as well, the band can stay, but it's basically like their band like belongs to that place. So like a restaurant will like buy a band, and then that'll be like the restaurant's band, and they'll just play music in the restaurant for them. That kind of deal. So that's basically what he did until 2005. So you just think about the fact that in 6 years he's gone from stopping World War III to playing concert support for Elton John. That's
But a bit of a change.
quite a change, yeah. Yeah, so that's quite a change. And in March 2005, his second single, Wise Men, I've not really too much of a fan of that one, if I'm personally honest, but it's alright. It's alright.
I don't
Not
know,
really
it's
my
not bad.
favourite. But anyway, that was released in March 2005, and then the third single, the one that everyone knows, the breakout hit, You're Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good old, You're Beautiful. It's a really good song, to be fair. But you didn't know this. You don't know this either. Did you know that song was about him getting really, really stoned one day and following a girl home from the London Underground station that he got off once? Yeah. Well, that entire song, and if you listen to it now, the lyrics will make complete sense.
Yeah.
That entire song is about him following a girl home whilst really, really high on the marijuana and
The green stuff.
And he just followed her home and wrote a song about it. I told you, he's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. So anyway, that song debuted at number 12 in the UK. And so you would crack the top 10.
But I'm kind of glad now. That feels weird.
It does, doesn't it? It completely changes your perspective on it. That's what I'm saying, he's a really, really weird guy.
I can't listen to that song the same. I'll never be able to listen to that song the same.
Yep. I've not heard it the same way since. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been an interesting experience since learning that. So it debuted at number 12. So they even cracked the top 10 when it was released. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. 6 weeks later, however, number 1. So it's first number 1.
With single number 3.
Single number 3. That was released 4th.
Yeah.
So his third single was released 4th. And that was the one that got to number 1.
And it was the one that's outed him as a bit of a group.
Yeah.
Possible. I don't know. I cannot say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta take what you will out of it, I guess. You know.
I don't know him. I cannot speak on his character.
Yeah.
Or anything like.
Yeah. It is one of them.
All I can say is that sounds weird.
Very weird. Weird.
Weird.
Very weird. So yeah. So the song You're Beautiful received huge airplay in the UK. Everyone was playing this song It was on everywhere.
It still is.
Yeah.
It still is.
This is Shrek as well, isn't it?
No.
I'm sure it's in Shrek. I'm sure it's in Shrek.
No.
I'm sure it's in Shrek. I'm gonna Google this later. I'm sure it's in Shrek.
How many times have I watched Shrek? How many times do I go on about? How many
yeah,
times do I
how
quote?
bad is your memory?
How much do I quote Shrek? Though?
How much do you forget everything that goes on a daily basis?
Yeah, but I quote Shrek a lot.
Well, there's a point. I'll have Google in a bit, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. Pretty sure
No,
it's
are
in
you
there.
thinking of Accidentally in Love, Shrek 2, the start?
No.
No. So what part are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Donkey. Donkey singing with the dragon.
Yeah.
I'm right, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Sorry.
It's in Shrek.
No,
Y'all
not
go
properly.
and watch Shrek, right? And get in the comments and just tell me how right I am. I'm joking.
Not properly then. So it's not like the songs in it.
And it is Donkey singing the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch Shrek now because I'll put it on. He sings it. He sings the whole thing. He sings it to the dragon.
I am more than happy for you to watch Shrek.
Let's do it. We're watching Shrek after this. If we don't sleep, because we've been here for like 4 hours now.
Should we do movie commentaries as well?
Why not? Would y'all be interested in that? Let us movie commentaries. Let us know. Let us know. Could be interesting.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So after after that was released, that extensive airplay ultimately led to him and his co-writers. Yeah, he didn't write it all. The album at least. It's one of them, innit? Can't really expect them to do everything, I guess. But yeah. He actually won a award. He won the Ivor Novello Award for the most performed work. Crazy. And after the success of You're Beautiful in the UK, the song crossed over to mainland Europe, becoming one of the biggest hits of summer 2005 across the whole continent. Yeah. And just to give you an idea of how big this song was, it was number 1 everywhere.
Leverer.
Everywhere.
It's gotta be someone. Or like number 1 in the places that matter.
No, yeah, but more like would be. But yeah, huge, absolute huge song. In the US, it made its debut in the summer of 2005 on a prominent radio station in New York City, and it was played despite not having been released to the radio. So it was actually leaked to them, and they played it before they actually got permission. Cheeky bit of promo. So yeah, the song was released to radio stations in the autumn of 2005 and climbed into the top 10 in 3 radio formats: adult contemporary music, hot adult top 40 tracks, and adult album alternative. Quite a range of music styles there, considering it's just him and his guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Blunt became the first British artist to top the American singles chart in nearly a decade when You're Beautiful released. Just gonna call that bit again. So Blunt became the first British artist to top the American singles chart in nearly a decade. That's 10 years, a whole 10 years. When I'm gonna do this one again because I've flapped that big time.
It's so cool.
So
We're getting tired.
Yeah.
I can see you, right?
Yeah. So Blunt became the first British artist to top the American singles chart in nearly a decade when You're Beautiful reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2006. And the last British artist to do so had been Elton John in 1997 with the song Candle in the Wind, 1997. So it's a bit of a weird one that he got started by someone giving his tape to Elton John's manager.
Yeah.
He then ended up playing concert support for Elton John. And then also, now top seed American.
Yeah. Takes out Elton off for the #1 spot.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
I think it's been done a fair few times now.
Oh yeah, it's been done loads since. I mean, the music industry itself now is so saturated that it's impossible to not get a #1, I guess.
But it's also impossible to get one.
Yeah. So at this point, then, in the James Blunt timeline, "Goodbye My Lover" was released, and this was the 4th UK single from the album, and it was released in 2005, December 2005, and it was the 2nd US single. The songs "High" and "Wiseman" that we mentioned before, they were then re-released again in 2006. See, there's a lot of this milk in it. Gotta get the money. Gotta get the money. He's rolling in now. He's getting all that money from You're Beautiful. He wants to milk it, I guess. Gotta be done. And then in 2006 began celebrating with 5 Brit Award nominations. Crazy. And went on to win Best British Male Solo Artist and Best Pop Act categories, having already started an 11th-month world tour. And on the 31st of August 2006, so the day after my 7th birthday, nice, he won 2 awards at the 2006 MTV Video and Music Awards. I'm going to cut that out because I'm not put my birthday on fucking YouTube.
Yeah, I was thinking that, do you know, when we said, because I mentioned that his was 2 days after his birthday was 2 days after mine.
On the 31st of August 2006, he won 2 awards at the MTV Video and Music Awards, with You're Beautiful winning the award for Best Male Video. So, won quite a lot of awards for that damn song.
I don't even think I've seen the video.
You not seen the video?
I must have done.
You must have done. It was
done.
everywhere. It's everywhere. Well, if you've not, then it just means we're gonna have to put it on before we watch Shrek.
No, I'm sure.
Shrek first. Priorities.
Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
I heard that in ages. So, what is he up to now then? Or what's he been up to since?
Where is he now?
Where is James Blunt now? Yeah, so where's James Blunt now then? Because after that success with those few songs and that album, he has obviously gone on to release a fair few other albums, but sadly none of them took off quite as well as Back to Bedlam did. None of them really did. They did pretty well for what they were, but
they were like fan following ones.
Fan following ones, not breakout.
Yeah. Oh
my god, this is amazing. James Blunt, like, new on the scene kind of deal. Everyone's heard what his music's like, and to be fair, there isn't really much difference, I'm not gonna lie to you, between the two albums though, I can think of at least. But all of them really, his music style's kind of the same. Need a bit more variety, a bit more mix, you know?
Yeah.
Change it up a bit.
At least from what we've heard, there might be other stuff out there.
Yeah. So yeah, what's he up to? What's he up to? So at the moment, he lives in Ibiza, warm climate, got to be done, and he also owns a chalet in the Swiss village of Verbier, which is where he was the House Cavalry Alpine ski champion. That's where he got that, in Verbier. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that, so whatever. And he also has a ski lift named after him there.
What? What, first or last name? Or full?
I'd think full.
James
The James Blunt ski lift.
Yeah, because Blunt ski lift.
That doesn't sound like it's working properly.
James ski lift.
The James ski lift. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
That doesn't sound right. But the James Blunt ski lift. It sounds like something like you could picture them with like the big scissors cutting the ribbon for it. It's like that, but what? And on the 6th in the same year that he had the ski lift named after him, he also opened a restaurant at the top of the ski lift that you can still go visit and go and eat at today, called I can't pronounce this, Lavache. Lavache. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try. Pronunciation is far from my strong suit.
Yeah, so
including English pronunciation.
The basic gist of it is that he has a ski lift named after him, and there's a restaurant that he also owns on top of that ski lift. At the top of the ski, not on top of the actual ski lift. That wouldn't be a good place for. How would you even get the food up?
You made the situation all Paul on your own.
No. There's a restaurant on top of the on
at the top of the hill.
On top of
Where?
the hill, mountain. Yes, there. On the 6th of September 2014, he married Sophia Wellesley, who's a socialite. You know, one of the big rich white girls who do nothing but walk around and show off how much money they have. She's also the granddaughter of Valerian Wellesley, who's the 8th Duke of Wellington. So he married well. He clearly knows people, you know. And with Sophia Wellesley, they went on to have 2 sons. And this is another pretty interesting fact: the godfather of their eldest son is Ed Sheeran. The more you know. And the godmother is Carrie Fisher, which I can understand. I can understand Carrie Fisher given previous connections and his first album being literally named by her and recorded in a bathroom.
Well, to be fair though, they probably met because I'm sure that James Blunt would have been a massive influence for Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I can see that, at least like early Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, because he started off guitar and singing.
It's
literally what he started off doing.
We should do a deep dive on Ed Sheeran. I reckon that'd be interesting.
Oh god, yeah. Oh geez. I
mean, would you be down for that?
There isn't much. He does lead a very, very private life. But I do know when Mum used to live. I don't know exactly where, and like she doesn't know, or whether he did at the time. But he used to live like in one of the houses that we were walking past at the time. Or does or. I don't know.
A bit of a subject change. Well, in the place where he used to live, he actually bought out all of the people who lived in the houses around him. He bought all of the houses off them and bought them, gave them all places, bought houses for them, in other places, because they were complaining about his noise so much, writing and playing music so loud all the time, that he moved them away. So they could have an entire village to himself, basically, and just complete quiet.
To be fair, I can see that, especially if Mum was writing where it was, because it is literally nothing there.
Yeah.
It's like you feel little villages that are all connected. I mean, you can go from each to each, but it's a very, very small place.
So that's a bit of a little insight into our future Ed Sheeran episode.
Oh.
So I highly recommend you go check that one out when it's done.
If we find out enough. Because like I said, he is a very private person, so.
Well, anyway, back onto this last little bit. last little bit about James Blunt before we wrap it up. So Blunt received the honorary title of Doctor of Music from the University of Bristol in 2016, purely because they didn't actually offer music as a course when he went to uni, and with him being so big and coming from the University of Bristol. Makes sense, I guess. As for what he does nowadays, he pretty much spends his time on Twitter telling people not to listen to his music and telling people how bad it is, and yeah, that's pretty much all he does now, is just tell people not to listen to his music, which in turn makes people want to listen to his music. So I guess that's a good marketing strategy.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's got us talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, I think he's led a pretty interesting life.
Yeah.
I reckon. It's quite
A
interesting.
very random one.
Very random. I know it seems that we're like, well, at least it seems that I'm jumping from point to point to point, but
It is very much that.
his life has very much been like that.
Or at least what we've been able to find out about it has been that.
So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. That's been my little bit on James Blunt and his very interesting life. Yeah. Any last words?
It's been good.
It's been good.
So, how was the first episode?
Yeah, I
How
forgot
did you-
about that. How was the first episode? Ooh.
How do you?
This could be good.
How do you?
Let us know in the comments.
How do you feel it's gone?
I think it's gone alright.
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. Look forward to the next one.
Well, we'll see what we get next. We don't even know what we're doing next yet.
Many ideas. Many ideas.
Honestly, we could fill a book with it.
Alright,
So,
well,
anyway.
thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you in the next one.
Peace.